What's going on, internet? My name is Iron Jordan. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since we spoke to each other. I'm going to try to start making more frequent videos, try to be more consistent on this channel. I really like talking about the Dragon Ball Super card game, and I hope that you guys like hearing me talk about it. I have a lot of opinions, unfortunately, some people would probably say. And I've been playing the game for a long time, so I have a lot to share with people. One of those things I want to share with you today is this Ginyu deck. So Ginyu was really powerful in set 1, was extremely powerful in set 2, and then kind of fell off the face of the planet. That was Yellow Ginyu, and that was strictly because he played cards really quickly, really easily. He had a big win con, and the most important thing was that he self-awakened. He was a yellow Frieza's army leader. He had access to cold bloodlust and all that other good stuff. He was really good for a good little bit of the game's short life. Now, in set 10, Ginyu is back. And in my opinion, this is actually one of the more balanced leaders in the set. He's really fun to play. I think he's really well designed. He's not completely broken tier 1. He's really fun, though. He has good matchups against a lot of different decks. He has bad matchups against a lot of different decks. He's just really fun, balanced, well designed leader and deck. And now, today, we're going to go into why I think that is. So, we're going to look at the Ginyu here, the leader. When he attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Ginyu Force with energy cost of 2 and it's green, play it, then draw a card. This is really good because he plays stuff for free and he still gets hand advantage. Fantastic. Awaken. When your life is at 4 less, if you have or if you have 4 more Ginyu Force cards in play in your battle area, you may draw 2 cards, flip this card over. A lot of the times when we see a draw 2 leader nowadays, they're just kind of thrown in the trash because draw 2 is almost objectively worse than untap 2. It just untap 2 allows you to extend your play so often, and most of the best leaders in the game draw a lot of cards naturally anyway. Notice I said most, not all. But I think draw 2 for Ginyu is actually really perfect, and it's part of why his design is so good. And it's because he gets, you're playing stuff for free. You're playing stuff for free off your auto, so he's very energy efficient already. He doesn't need the untap 2. It would be overkill. The draw 2 is so much better for him. A lot of the times when you awaken in this deck, you're already at, you're at 2 energy, you're untapped, you're completely untapped, you have nothing to do with that energy, and it's just, hey, +2, it's good. Draw 2 cards is always good. Bat side, basically the same exact thing, except he has an activate battle once per turn. Pay a green, choose one of your Ginyu Force cards in your battle area, and it gets plus 10k power for the battle. Important note, this does not work on leaders. Leaders are not in play in the battle area. Leaders have never been in play. That's something that comes up every once in a while for new players. They don't know that. But leader card's not in play, so he cannot do it to himself, but he can do it to any of his boys, any of his Ginyu boys in the area. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to run down some of this list. We're going to start with the Golden Frieza, Unison of Malice. So this card is, in my opinion, the best green Unison. I know people really like the Bardock, but I really, really love this card, especially for this deck. He has an activate main where it's draw a card, then put a card on top of your deck. This could be really good to set up your Ginyu plays if you need to, hey, I need to put a Goldo on top of my deck. That way I can, attack with my leader and play him and stuff, which is really good. It also doesn't show your opponent what you're putting up there, so they don't know if they need to hold counter for, that card that's about to come down or what. You can fake them out, whatever. The neg 2, I have to make sure I get this proper. The neg 2 is until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their battle cards with energy cost 2 or more, place it in its owner's drop area. This is really good against certain decks. This is really good against like Pilaf, although Pilaf does get around it with the Vegeta Unison that he likes to do, or the Shenron Unison that he likes to do. Unisons and leaders get around this. This is like a more fair topo, in my opinion. But it's still a really powerful effect, and it can just win a lot of your matchups. Your opponent, you force your opponent into making these kind of weird play decisions that they wouldn't have to make normally. Now, this is easily get aroundable. Ignore that I said that. You can get around this pretty easy if you have 1 2 draw, like if you have 3 2-drops on the board and you want to swing with all 3 of them. Say you're playing Vanilla Crew, whatever, you have 3 3-drop 30ks on board. You just don't swing with the first one. You swing with the second one. You sack the first one. The second one gets it swing. You swing with the third one, and you sack the second one that swung. So it is kind of, you can play around it, but it does make your opponent think, and it is a good effect, and it does wipe their board if they want to pull off a lot of big battle card attacks. Moving on, Shocking Death Ball. This is just, hey, gotta have it. You're playing a green leader. It's sparking super helping you awaken if you don't get your Ginyu Force out. It KO stuff, which is really good, really, really good. Frieza biding his time. So we played 2 of this for a couple reasons. We want yellow energy in the deck for multiple different things. The second thing is that this deck, although he's not played a lot very often anymore, this deck just straight up loses to striving to be the best Goku. I have not played against that card in a while, but it just straight up loses to striving to be the best because you have a bunch of 2-drops on your board. They just can't attack, and this will tap the guy down, so at least maybe your leader can take care of it. Who knows? Maybe. 2 Crusher Ball. I played 2 Crusher Ball in all my yellow decks. It's just a safety valve that it hits a lot of secret rares that your opponent just expects to win the game with. It hits a lot of things that, like, if your opponent plays, again, 8-drop Fu is one of the biggest boss monsters to ever hit this game. He's, if your deck does not have a boss monster, you can play 8-drop Fu, you play 8-drop Fu probably. This hits him. It doesn't turn off his effect, so if they have other attacks, like, you're probably going to eat some cards out of your hand, but it gets rid of a big triple attacker, which is really good. For Frieza Call, this is the key component of your deck. You want to see this or multiple of this on turn 1 going first, hopefully. You can get all of the Ginyu Force. You can get your Super Combo. You can get your Avenging Frieza. The only battle cards that doesn't get in your deck are these guys down here. These big Ginyu boys down here. It doesn't get those guys. But it gets every other battle card in your deck, it gets. The typical turn 1 play that I go for is turn 1 Birder, because he comes into play, rest mode. At the end of the turn, he'll untap himself to strike 3. It's pretty good. Cold Bloodlust, because you're playing a Frieza's Army leader. If Cold Bloodlust did not exist, it might not lock every decent Frieza's Army leader into wanting to splash yellow, because every time that I see a new Frieza's Army leader and they're halfway decent like this Ginyu is, I want to play yellow because I want to have access to my secret rare Cold Bloodlust. For Avenging Frieza, it searches out the entire Ginyu engine except for the big boys. Searches himself out, searches out your super combos, super good. This Ginyu here, this is the first of the Ginyu Force that we're going to talk about. This Ginyu does nothing for your deck because you're not playing a green Frieza leader. You have to have a green Frieza card as a leader. I guess it technically gives your leader or Unison 10k when you play it, but other than that, it doesn't really do anything for your deck. Other than be a 15k body. This is really here to up our Ginyu count so that, like, I found while I was playing this deck a lot that you would get kind of shoehorned into, like, after you're awakened, you're only getting the draw off your leader, where if this is in your deck, you can get an additional, so now you have 5 2-drop 15k attackers, and you're putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. If you can go first in this deck and awaken on turn 2, you're going to put so much, and it's very easy to do that. You can put so much pressure on your opponent. By just having a bunch of 2-drop 15k attackers. Just swarm them, especially if they play a tapped energy. You can basically kill them. I played against Invoker yesterday with this deck, and I went first, and on my turn 2, they had a single tapped dual-colored energy, and it was like, all right, cool, free game. Knocked them down to 2 life, and ended up winning that game. Zarbon the Gorgeous, it's here because it's a green super combo that we can search with our Frieza, because it's a Frieza's Army card, 2 or less, so it gets that. For Goldo, he is the main man of this deck. He sets up everything you want to do. Stry top 5 at any time while he's on the field is pretty good. I don't like to pitch him to go neg 1 and Stry 3, but it's definitely something you can do. It exists. It is a thing that happens. Birder, we already talked about Birder. He was super good. In a turn, he switched himself to active mode so he can block and Stry 3. It's also why we're only playing 3 hard negates. Crusher Ball being a soft negate, and then Birder being the blocker. Jay's second in command. This card's great. I love cards that do what Jace does. We had like the Trunks from a couple sets ago that looked like top 7 and pulled a Trunks, or like the pre-release Trunks from set 7, I think, looks top 3 for a Saiyan. The 2-drop 15Ks that put a card in your hand that search your archetype are some of my favorite cards in Dragon Ball, and I'm really happy that we have one that we get to play for free in Ginyu. Jace is really cool. Love it. It's amazing. Raccoon, he's probably the worst of them in my opinion, but he's still pretty good. He just plays a Ginyu from your hand, a 2-drop Ginyu Force from your hand, a 2-drop green Ginyu Force from your hand, and that's it. So, yeah, he's there. He exists. You've got this guy, Ginyu the Body Snatcher. So, different guy. Ginyu, Backbone of the Force. Can I speak today, please? Can I not have a speech impediment today? He's a 4-drop 15k. But what he does, if you have all of the other Ginyu Force on the field, so if you have Goldo, Birder, Jace, Raccoon, activate main, you can play him for free, can't play copies of him for the rest of the turn. Okay? Cool. Sick. auto. When he's played, you get to steal one of your opponent's cards, and they get control of your Ginyu. So you don't get to attack with them or whatever, but it happens. And the auto happens even if you don't play him off the activate main. So if you know your opponent's holding interaction, you can hard cast this for 4, and if you have a second one in your hand and they like, I don't know, counter it or like Vegeta the Cruel it or whatever, first of all, the effect would still go off, so it doesn't matter. But if they counter this and you're holding a second one, you can just activate main on the second one and play it for free. Because the activate main only turns off the ability to play additional copies if you play it with the activate main. So there you go. Then you have the second Ginyu the Body Snatcher. What this guy does, he's super good. He's basically your game ender, your finisher, other than just beating your opponent to a pulp with 15Ks. Activate main, you choose one of your battle cards that you got from your opponent this turn. It has to be this turn. Place it in its owner's drop area, and then you play this Ginyu. This is really funny. I played against the Sin Shenron deck, and I stole it with the 4-drop Ginyu. I swung with it, and then I just sacked it and gave my guys 10k. Because when this guy comes in, he gives all of your Ginyu Force in play 10k. So that goes for all of these guys. If you have a 2-drop Ginyu out, it goes for himself. If you have another 4-drop out, it goes for himself. All that other good stuff. It's really great. So this guy's really good. He has double strike. Permanent on your opponent's turn, gets neg 10k. That's not really that big of a deal. He's probably gonna die, but it is what it is. Um, you can you can awaken at 6 life pretty easily, pretty consistently. You can really awaken at 8 if your opponent doesn't want to hit you. If your opponent's playing hatch or something, it is not uncommon to wake up at 8 life. This deck feels really fun to play. Our last card is Ginyu Helix Strike. Pay 1, place this card in your drop area from your hand. If your leader card is a Ginyu, which it is, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Ginyu Force card among them, add it to your hand, then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you added a card to your hand, choose up to 1 Ginyu Force card from your hand with energy cost 2 less and play it. It's super good. It's another way to play free Ginyu boys from our hand. It's also a yellow energy, so really great. This is really good, like if your guys start to get removed, but you already know what you have on the top of your deck off the other guys, or if you're setting it up. This deck does take a little bit of skill to play. You have to be good at top deck manipulation. People that have played Magic that know how to scry effectively, hey, this is probably a deck for you. The reason why I built this deck actually initially is because my buddy, one of my best friends, does not like Dragon Ball at all, but he loves Ginyu. He loves like the jobbers. He loves Ginyu. He loves Nappa. He loves like the garbage characters. And when I told him that hey, Ginyu's actually pretty good this set, it looks like, he was like, yo, I gotta see this. And so I went ahead and I built the deck so that he could play with it whenever he wanted. And obviously the side effect being that now I'm playing it whenever I want, because I think the deck's really fun. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and drop a like. Let me know how you are playing Ginyu, if you play anything different. I'm not playing a secret rare because this is a very budget build, because like I said, this is really for my buddy. I wasn't going to drop a whole bunch of money on a deck to build for my friend, but really if there's a bunch if there's really one thing that you need in this deck, it's maybe play Selzeno. Selzeno is pretty good in this deck because you get guys out for free. You can hit the 12 that you need for Successor pretty easily. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back here really soon with another video. Later.